We've been friends for about a decade, and we've used that time really to help each other through the issues that have come up, the challenges, the life challenges that have come up over this last period of time, and realized that we had very similar tools for dealing with life's issues, and yet at the same time still reached out to each other and needed each other and other friends in order to maintain a degree of sanity under the pressures that we were feeling in our own lives on a daily basis. And I myself have been started therapy when I was 14 years old, and pretty much every city that I've lived in, I've had a therapist. And honestly, really, truly don't believe that I would be alive today if I didn't start some form of self-searching very early in my life. A lot of what is in the book is not so many of our trials and tribulations, but I guess some of the frank admissions of the fact that we still find it hard.
One of the things we say in the book is that we'd like the P word, perfectionism, to be banned completely. Because all of us, or at least I, have used it as a stick with which to beat myself, and I don't compare myself with the woman who is struggling more than I am. I compare myself with the person who looks like they've got it all together, and I compare how I'm feeling on the inside with how someone is feeling on the outside. And then on top of that, we have, the expectations of how we should look and the pressure that's put on us to conform to the male gaze still. I mean, it is absolutely extraordinary that despite all our decades of feminism, the levels of grooming that's expected from women before, they, in a metropolitan environment, before they can go to work, have got worse. I mean, what is that about? We're intelligent, educated women, and yet everywhere.
And we're told that if you fit into this bikini, or if your body looks like this in the summertime, or if you eat this food, this particular food, if you eat really cleanly, or if you recycle perfectly, or if you buy this gadget, you will be okay. That you will fit in and you will be okay, assuming that if we don't, or if we don't fit up to those standards, then we're therefore not okay. And so the levels of self-harm in women of all ages is quite well documented in teenagers. A recent study, or a study in 2014, they had judged that self-harm had tripled between 2007 and 2014. But they're also starting to realize that it is women of all ages who self-harm. And so much of that is about low levels of self-esteem and not knowing how to practice self-care, and not feeling, as a female, feeling like our responsibility is to everybody else but ourselves, and that somehow it's selfish for us to take care of ourselves. If we're all struggling with this, if we're all having these same issues and these same pressures, why aren't we turning to each other to try and find solutions for what's not working? There's clearly things in society that aren't working. There are things in our own life about how we're taught we must behave that aren't working. And yet we pass each other on the street and we don't reach out and try and figure out and befriend our fellow females to try and figure out how the fuck we can make a difference in our own lives and other people's lives. And so I mentioned that to Jennifer to get to the point. And she said, well, funnily enough, I've been thinking about the same thing.
Yeah. As a feminist, I've spent so much time fighting for 50% of a system, but the system that I've been fighting for 50% of is broken. And it's not enough that we as women just claim our rightful place and our rightful share, because the world of work is designed around a predominantly male workforce, and when we get there we're having to fit ourselves into the man-shaped hole, and maybe we can just feminize it a little bit. But the truth is that all of us, men and women, aren't served by the existing structure. It's based on, on a model that's... It's a model that is predicated on infinite growth when we have finite resources. it's a model that is binary. You know, either you're a winner or you're a loser. Either you have or you have not. You know, and this world, despite absolute levels of wealth, you know, being higher than ever, is more unequal than ever. So how can this system be working? So rather than leaning into a system that's broken, you know, what I wanted to talk about was how do we create a new paradigm, you know, one that we all want to inhabit. And having been involved in politics, you know, it was clear to me that unless we deal with our own woundedness, we're just going to take our stuff out into the political arena, as we can see happening all around us, and act it out on those who have less power than we do.
So much of what we're talking about in the book is the importance of being face-to-face, of having real human connection, which so many of us don't have today. You know, we spend so much time on screens and in these, you know, these me-fashioned little worlds of ours that we often don't look up and make eye contact and connect with the people around us.
For me, one of the reasons that I think the me culture has gained such purchase is because of the withering of religion from the collective space. And you know, I had a lot of problems with the word God as a child. If God existed, he was definitely male and definitely caused a lot of suffering that he didn't seem to be intervening in. And since then, you know, I've realised that that man is responsible for most of the things that I blame God for, and that spirituality, you know, spirituality is for people who've been to hell, and religion is for people who are scared of going to hell, is the best explanation I've ever had. And we hope other women will meet face to face, and because it is so much easier to try and implement these changes if you're sitting in a circle with other women. A number of circles have sprung up and women are gathering together. We got a picture from the States, and it makes me want to cry, actually, because I know for me that the power and the comfort I have of having other women that I can really, really be honest with about how I'm really feeling, where I don't have to pretend, where I can admit how messed up I'm feeling.
I think I started meditating in high school, and I don't know why or where that came from, and so I think that in working on this book, it's very much strengthened my already existing faith. But part of what has strengthened my faith too is the, you know, over the last few years particularly, a lot of personal challenges that that I've really needed to rely on my own faith for, and practiced, you know, many of the things that are in the book, you know, including an unbelievable degree of letting go, which to me, you know, part of that is a letting go to what? It is, you know, to something greater than myself. And the book itself feels like it is very much that. It is beyond the two of us, and the path that it's going to take is not up to us, and it feels, you know, I have another job, and would like to continue to do that job, and that's probably where my focus is going to go. But this felt like such a necessary thing to be a part of. Oh, there's the mic. A necessary thing to be a part of, that I couldn't not do it. You know, I couldn't not be as honest as I've been. I could not help to launch it out into the world, but it's beyond us from this point out, I think.
The great temptation when we are faced with what's happening in the world is to move to an egoic rightness. You know, we look at and we judge those who are making political choices that we would not make, but, you know, hate doesn't conquer hate. And if we build walls of righteous indignation, that's just going to deepen the chasm that's dividing our world. And so, yes, so ego, because ego comes in many different forms. It doesn't just come in the form of, you know, a large wounded boy who finds himself in charge of, you know, the most powerful nation alive. you know, it also comes in the form of me shouting slogans of righteous indignation in the face of someone I actually need to form a connection with.